news, music and sport.
On R&M, it's the Roger James Rock and Roll Lunchbox.
My baby, I need you.
Be my girl.
To hug you and squeeze you.
Be my girl.
I wanna do things for you.
How I need you.
Be my girl. Be my girl.
Be my girl.
Yes, that's what I said to my last girlfriend, but she left in a huff. I don't know why. I am Roger James, as the man said, just after 2 o'clock on a Sunday lunchtime. Simon Gardner was at the helm from 12 o'clock. Oh, well, he only did a short spot this morning. This is Curtis Lee. He does a great show anyway, so I don't know what we're complaining about. How do you do in 2 hours? What's it all about? Yes, Curtis Lee then, and pretty little angel eyes, he says, with with great difficulty. Lovely day outside, and old Big Steve has just wandered in from up there in, where is it you're from, Steve? Ponders End, isn't it? Yes, Steve, Big Steve is getting his show together. Well, he will be in a couple of minutes. He's on at 3 o'clock after me and after the 3 o'clock news. This is Craig Douglas.
She was only 16, only 16. I loved her so, but she was too young to fall in love, and I was too young to know that she was too young to fall in love, and I was too young to know that she was too young to fall in love.
Oh, dig that echo on the end there. I don't know whether that's been sort of like fiddled around with, but I shouldn't have thought so, because this is an EMI album, Music for Pleasure, or Compacts for Pleasure, as it's now called. 61 minutes of stars of the 50s, and there's some great tracks on that. All sorts of things from that first Jim Dale track I opened up the show with, to a chap called Norman Wisdom. We might have him a little bit later on, but no show is ever complete without a man called Elvis. All that noise going on in the background is Simon Gardner packing away his money, I think.
Baby, 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 I come back, baby. I wanna play house with you. Well, you may go to college, you may go to school, you may have a pink Cadillac, but don't you be nobody's fool. And now, baby, come back. Baby, 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 come back, baby. I wanna play house with you.
Oh yes, a lovely Scotty Moore chord on his big old Gibson there at the end of that rockabilly, I would call that session from Elvis and the lads there. You are with me, Roger James, just after 2:15, and as I say, no show is ever complete without a track from Elvis Presley. This is Larry Williams, and a track that I first heard way back in time when I was with a man called Tony Clark in an act called Roger and Tone. Very original, that, isn't it?
She's as skinny as a stick of macaroni. Ought to see her rock and roll with her blue jeans on. She's not very bad, just skin and bone.
Yes, whistling Larry Williams then, and fading out a little bit of whistling there. There was a great spate of whistling, if you'll pardon the terminology, in the sort of 50s and 60s. Every record had a little bit of whistling on it, or it wasn't a hit. We went through those sort of stages. You had to have a sax solo the next thing, and then it had about 2 guitar breaks and whatever, or it started off with the drummer, or ended with the drummer, or something like that. Everybody used to latch onto these things, and I suppose they still do to a degree, but the music has changed a lot to my dismay. It's 25 past 2. This is Dion wearing his other hat, his pop hat. Track called Teenager in Love, also covered in this country by 2 of our English chaps as well.
Each time we have a quarrel, it almost breaks my heart, 'cause I'm so afraid that we will have to part. Each night I ask the stars, why must I be a teenager in love?
Oh yes, a few cracks and pops and crackles and scratches on that one. Coming up to 25 to 3, we are Radio North Middlesex 999 kilohertz in the medium wave, and 887-2693 if you want to give us a call. I am Roger James. It is a Sunday and it's raining outside, so don't go out, just stay in and listen to some good music. This is Emil Ford and the Checkmates, and an old Don Gibson song called Don't Tell Me Your Troubles.
Don't tell me your troubles, I got troubles of my own. Don't tell me your troubles, just leave me alone, leave me alone. Go on home.
Oh yes, and I talked earlier about that drummer I was getting in there, either at the beginning, a little lead-in, or at the end. A drummer always sort of seems to get the last word. He falls off his kit, as we used to say in the business. A drummer fell off his kit, and that's when he sort of does a roll at the end or something like that. I was talking to my my local optician as I went in to see him. Actually, not on business, just popped in to see him, and we were talking about the old Glenn Miller bands. I think there are about 12 Glenn Miller bands performing all the Glenn Miller stuff. They even dress up in the American uniforms and all that sort of stuff, which I find very, very strange. I mean, how many Glenn Miller bands do we need? And my ex-manager, a bloke called Johnny Watson, who got me a recording deal with NEMS Records, who was the Beatles manager's label, wasn't it? Brian Epstein, had a couple of singles with there. Johnny Watson, I had a couple of singles with them, and old Johnny, I haven't seen him for many, many a year, but he is actually instrumental, if you'll pardon the pun, in getting one of these bands together. And my optician is in one of these sort of round table things, or Masonics, and he's actually booked the Johnny Watson band, and I think they're going to actually use the uniforms and put the American flag across the back of the stage. So I've got a pair of Glenn Miller glasses, would you believe, the old rimless ones and the threepenny bit shape. So if I go along to that concert, I shall be the only one who's sort of really original, because actually on the brochure someone's done a caricature and they've put round glasses on him, which he never had at all. And I shall take my glasses along and be totally authentic. Talking of authentic, here's a little bit of great guitar work from the man himself, Chuck Berry. I don't care if he's 70 or 71. It's great anyway.
Propelled back home from overseas to the USA. New York.
Yes, isn't it great? So many songs written about the USA, and only one written about the USSR, I think, which is a very clever ploy by the Beatles, John and Paul. But that man was 70 years old, as we say, last Friday. No one has ever been so innovative as Chuck Berry. His style on guitar was incredible, and his lyrics are great. The only man to come anywhere near him, of course, is Bob Dylan, but he can't play guitar or sing, but he writes a great lyric, and lyrically they are quite in tune. I think you were going to say something, Simon.
No, I'm just having fun listening to what you're saying.
Oh right. Oh well, that's nice. That's nice. Where's your headphones?
I haven't got them on. I put them away.
Oh, he's put them away. But you can hear okay.
Oh yes.
I tell you what, I forgot my headphones the other week, and I panicked and I put on these old things they use in the studio. God knows how they use those things. And anyway, they packed up on me halfway through, and first I was getting mono, then I was getting one ear, and then I got nothing. So in order to hear myself, I had to put the other speakers on in the other studio and use those as a fallback. And it was I got a little bit of echo when I listened back to the tape. I got a little bit of echo coming back from the other room. It's quite good. It sounded like a Sun record session or something.
So you started off with stereo, you got mono, and you ended up with nono.
That's a goodie, actually. That's very, very clever, Simon Gardner. You are a clever man. I'll tell you what, we're going to carry on with a little bit of piano, because I'm right into that Johnny Johnson style. Not Johnny Johnson and the Bandwagon, but Johnny Johnson, who played some great piano with... on every track with Chuck Berry. Well, I don't think he was on My Ding-a-Ling, because he recorded that in England, didn't he? Oxford or somewhere, Cambridge College or University. But he's on everything other than that, I think, Johnny Johnson. And the great piano playing you're going to hear next is from the man, well, never rivaled, apart from perhaps Jerry Lee Lewis. And is Little Richard, of course, and Good Golly, Miss Molly. You are with me, Roger James. Oh yes, and that drummer getting the last word again. We were rocking and rolling so much in the studio that we made the record jump. But there you go. I'm going to go out with a track that used to open up a TV series called Oh Boy. It's Lord Rockingham's 11. Red Price, I think, was in this band. He might have actually been Lord Rockingham himself. But I think he was. I've been and will be again Roger James. Simon Gardner has been Simon Gardner. And Big Steve will be Big Steve just after the 3 o'clock news. God bless you. Get well soon out there on the wards. And I love you all. And I'll be with you again next Sunday. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much indeed, Roger. Good afternoon, everybody. It's just gone 3 o'clock.
He's big. He's bad. And oh, God, he's ugly.
Hi, but you don't have to play some good music.
Steve Roberts.
Yes, and he's very wet as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We're now ready for takeoff, so please extinguish your cigarettes and fasten your seatbelts.
Steve Roberts.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Let's start off with the top 3 at 3. 3 number ones from 1966. We start off in fine style, the Spencer Davis Group, and keep on running. Good afternoon, everyone.